Hello, I wanted to give you a coding challenge. So we're going to be implementing Minesweeper, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to look at Minesweeper X, which is as close as I could find to the original Minesweeper, and with the Windows XP skin. So if I take a screenshot here of the game and I paste it in Paint, and I enlarge it, I zoom in, you can see that the graphics are completely pixelated. There is nothing diagonal. Everything is squares, little pixels. And I find that very quaint and vintage and cute, so that's what I want to implement. I think it's also an added challenge. So what I'm going to do in this video is give you a set of features to implement, and we'll call that Milestone 1. So I'll tell you what you need to implement here, and the purpose here is not to just like make it semi-similar, but to actually find all the tiny little behaviors and mimic them correctly, because I think that makes you a better coder, to be able to fine-tune everything and notice everything and make it work precisely as you want it to work. So in the next video, I will show you how I coded Milestone 1. So basically now I'm just giving you the task that you need to do. And then you can either do it on your own or watch the second video and see how I implemented it. And then we can compare notes. Like if you have ideas that are better than mine, then I'd like to hear them. And like we can discuss like what you found useful and everything. And then if you enjoy this, like I can do the Milestone 2 where I add some more features and we can talk about that. So let's take a look at how Minesweeper actually behaves. Sorry for the window switching. This is not going to be a polished video, and I'll tell you why, because when I try and make polished videos, I never end up finishing them. So it's just going to be this. I hope that's good enough. So if we take a look at the way Minesweeper behaves, we're going to just take a look at the smiley button and the board. So the smiley button smiles, and if you click on it, it becomes pressed. And if I'm still with the mouse down and moving the mouse, it looks pressed only when you're over the button. And if you do a mouse up here, then it doesn't press the button. Sorry, I'll just expose some cells here. If you press and then do the mouse up here, it doesn't press the button. If you press and then do the mouse up here, it presses the button, which resets the game. So we have the smiley unpressed, we have the smiley pressed graphic, and we also have this scared smiley, that's how I call him. And this is what I call danger mode, because I click down on one of the cells in the board and the smiley is scared because the moment I do a mouse up, it'll expose that cell. So, and once the cell is exposed, the smiley goes back to being smiling. So let's see how that works. So if I click on any cell, the smiley becomes scared. And even if I go out of the board and back in the board, as long as I don't do a mouse up, he stays scared. Okay? And of course, once I go out of the board, none of the cells look half pressed. So you can see that as he's scared, the cells look kind of pressed. And then when I do the mouse up, it exposes that cell and, like I said, stops being scared. Or if I do the mouse up outside the board, he stops being scared and the no cell is exposed. And I had some bugs, so I want you to check that you don't have these bugs. Let's say I do the mouse down here and then I hover here. You don't want that to like look semi-pressed, and mouse up here doesn't expose the cell, and vice versa. If I do this and then I do the mouse up on the smiley, I don't want it to press the smiley button. And of course, you'll have to implement this behavior where if you step on a bomb, the bomb looks red and all the other bombs are exposed. And you also have to implement this, which is a recursive exposure of cells. So if the cell that was exposed is an empty cell, then it keeps exposing the adjacent cells until it reaches a cell that has a number on it or a flag. So I haven't talked about flags yet. Let's talk about flags. So if you flag some cells, you're basically right-clicking. Let's ignore the question mark for now. Let's just do the flag. So you toggle back and forth between flagged and unflagged by right-clicking a cell. And then let's say you step on a bomb, then any cells that were flagged correctly, meaning that there's a bomb underneath, remain flagged. And any cells that you flagged incorrectly that do not have a bomb underneath look like a bomb with an X. And of course, when you lose the game, the smiley becomes sad. And if you press, you can see that the pressed smiley looks happy even though it's sad. And then mouse up resets the game, right? So, and when you reveal a cell that's just a number, like if I do this, it just reveals obviously the number and it doesn't keep revealing around it because it's not an empty cell. So let us review. So I want you to use pixel perfect SVGs for the smiley and the cells. Let me show you my implementation, or not the code, but I'll show you mine. Here, so this is what I've implemented. So you don't have to implement anything but the smiley button and the board, and you don't have to do all the borders and all that stuff. But you do have to use the pixel perfect SVGs, and you can take the ones that I created. I basically created them by hand in Inkscape by using a reference for each state. And if you want to know how I did that, just let me know and I'll let you know how I did that. But you can use my SVGs. There's the SVG for the unpressed smiley, the pressed smiley, the scared smiley, and the sad smiley. And there's also the smiley for the winning, for when the game is won and he has sunglasses, but you don't have to implement that yet. So pixel perfect SVGs for the smiley and for the cells. So you have like all the numbers, the 1, the 2, the empty cell, the unpressed cell, the flagged cell, the bomb with a red background, the bomb with a normal background, the bomb with an X on it, basically like all the numbers and everything you need for that. So I'll leave a link to the SVGs in the description. You have to do like this basic layout of just the smiley button and the board, nothing more than that for now. And let's talk about what you have to implement for the smiley button. You have to implement the click behavior that we were talking about. So if I click outside the smiley and hover over the smiley, it doesn't seem pressed. If I click on the smiley, it seems pressed. And then as I move the mouse, as long as I don't do a mouse up, it doesn't become clicked. And if I do the mouse up off of the smiley, it doesn't press the smiley. And if I do the mouse up on the smiley, it presses the smiley and resets the game. So you do have to model the game itself. You have to make everything work like you're seeing it work here. And you have to like detect danger mode. And you have to have this cell hovering, like tentatively pressed cells, as you can see here. Even if you go outside the board, and if you do the mouse up outside the board, it doesn't expose any cell. If you do the mouse up on a cell, it exposes that cell. And then if you lose, you need to have the sad smiley, and you need to expose all of the bombs, and the bomb that was stepped on needs to have a red background. Right, and let's let's say that you flag the cell. So you need to implement flagging and unflagging, like toggling flagging a cell with a right click. So when you do a right click, usually a context menu opens, so you have to like disable the context menu. And then let's say I stepped on a bomb, then any cell that was incorrectly flagged will appear with as a bomb with a red X on it. And any cell that was correctly flagged will stay with the flag on it. What else? So we talked about danger mode. Oh, and once you've lost the game, you can't click on anything and you can't right click on anything. It doesn't do anything, right? The game is over. Oh, and like, let's say I flag the cell and I click on the flag. It doesn't like, I go into danger mode, but the flag doesn't appear pressed. And if I do the mouse up on the flag, it doesn't expose that cell. So the flag basically protects the cell from being exposed, but you're still in danger mode, meaning if you do the mouse up here, it'll expose that cell. So take note of all these little tiny behaviors and make them precisely like the game. Don't round any corners. Don't cut any corners. What else? Right, you need to do this where like if you expose a cell that has no numbers on it, then it recursively exposes the adjacent cells until it reaches numbers. And if there were flags here, then it wouldn't expose the flagged cell. So I think I covered everything. Right, one more thing is the game is hard-coded for now. You can do it just like mine. I just did 2 bombs here and then like 1 bomb here, and that is the whole game. Like as you can tell, I haven't handled winning the game, although that is pretty simple. And every time I reset the game, it's the same game over and over. And I find that very helpful because, you know, later on we can implement having random bombs and everything and random and arbitrary board dimensions. But for now, just for what we need to implement for Milestone 1, I think you can just work like me with a hard-coded game. It'll also make it easier for you to test like certain features because you already know where the bombs are, right? So that is your challenge. That is Milestone 1. And I will leave a link also to Minesweeper X that you can download and you can try and see how it works and compare your implementation and see that it behaves just like Minesweeper X does. And like I said, I'll leave a link to the SVGs that you can download and use. And yeah, and in the next video, I'll show you my implementation in React of Milestone 1. And I hope you find this helpful. I hope you find this fun. I hope like we'll have like a bit of a collaboration, you know, we'll talk a little bit like, did you find this an interesting exercise? And, you know, like what part of it did you find difficult? And, you know, like all that stuff. And like I said, the purpose here is to not cut corners. Everything has to behave exactly as it does in the real game. And B, your code has to be elegant. So that is my main purpose. Your code has to be elegant. It has to be well written. And I will show you how I write well written code. And if you write better code than me, I'll be more than happy to learn from you. But please don't just do a quick and dirty coding implementation, okay? Because the purpose here is to get better at writing good code, proper code, sound code, quiet code, not messy code, not spaghetti code. Writing the code in the best architecturally sound way. And that is my personal passion. I love writing clean code. And obviously I have my limits. So You know, sometimes my code isn't perfect, and that is the point here, to also like help each other out and get better together. So I'd love to hear your comments. You're welcome to leave comments in the description. Let me know if, you know, any questions, any comments would be much appreciated, because I know no one's going to see this video, and it would be great if, like, you know, I got some feedback that you guys want more of these videos, and then I can keep making more, because at some point I'll probably feel like I'm just talking to myself, right? So that's it for this video. Sorry it was a bit rambly. I'm a rambly person, so you'll have to deal with that. And I will post this video, and then I'll make the next video for you guys. And that will be milestone 1, okay? And then we'll move on to further milestones until we do the full game. And then we can be proud of ourselves. So bye for now.